Buck Showalter managed the Baltimore Orioles from 2010 to 2018. Adam Jones played for the Baltimore Orioles from 2008 to 2018. They had a lot of conversations about in-game strategy, about attacking the opponent. There's no one better to talk to right now than Adam Jones, who joins us now on MLB Tonight. Adam, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. What are your initial thoughts when you hear that Buck Showalter, at the age of 65, has been hired to manage the New York Mets?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is, I think that he wanted another shot. He wanted one more shot to really get it out of his system, but also I think he sees an opportunity that he could really help, and it's gonna be cool. I think people always had that thing about Buck being just a hard nose and all that. I mean, it is to a T, but he allows the coaches to coach and the players to play, and I think that he's adapted that, especially taking over our team in 2010 and then just letting us young guys flourish into some leaders and then start putting the pieces together. And the pocketbook that he got now, ooh.
I love it. Hey, Adam, it was interesting. You were with Buck a long time. So I talked about him really loving to teach the game and really grow. So first of all, what was the biggest change when he came to Baltimore than the previous 2 years you were there before he arrived?
Well, me coming as a trade, I didn't know everybody in the organization. But once I started to play my first couple of years, I was just like, well, we got some young talent. We got some drafts coming. I didn't know the process of this organization. I just knew the Mariners. And he just added a name, and immediately you see he lured Derek Lee and Vladdy Guerrero in 2011 to come to Baltimore. I admit that that's at the end of their careers. But still, those guys could have, went to other American League teams to be able to help them, but they came to Baltimore. And I'm like, damn, we got some guys like that? Like, okay, just thinking like he got some pull. And then as through the years, obviously our teams got better, and we just continued to obviously drive up the payroll. But everybody's payroll was being driven up because players just stayed, and some teams, locked up some guys young, which was very smart. And, you just see the impact that he had on us. It's just like, hey, y'all do what y'all need to do between the lines. I'll manage it. When I see something I need to manage, I'll manage it. And that was always great. He never harped on any situation except play the game hard. You can't control everything. Mental mistakes is something he couldn't tolerate because he says you should just always be prepared for everything. So I think he's just going to add a accountability factor and a big name. And, again, this is going to be, could be his last punch with, again, a big checkbook.
I love it. Hey, you did say he added a name. You brought that up a couple times. So if I'm a Met player right now or in the Met organization, and I just heard they hired Buck Showalter, does that carry weight with the players?
I think it does because of his track record. And he's a formidable name in the game, and especially being on TV the last couple of years, the players who watch MLB Network, I'm sure that they, are familiar with all the guys that are on you guys' roster. So they know who he is. And with all the, YouTubes and videos, all the internet, you can look everything up about him and getting tossed out the game, which is some of the funniest things ever. Oh man, I think he had knee surgery, and he came out the dugout one time, and I was just like, oh man, I feel sorry for you, but y'all got to find that video. And he knew it hurt like hell, but his fieriness just would not allow him to just get cussed out and just cuss him out from the bench. He had to run out there, and man, I seen that second step off that bench, and I'm like, feel for you, brother.
Adam, I got to tell you, he absolutely loved managing you. Talked about it all the time. But did you ever do anything that got under his skin during your lengthy time together playing for Buck Showalter?
I mean, it was just if I didn't hustle.
Okay.
He allowed us to go play, and he just told me, I remember when he came over and took over the team, there was a play that I should have hustled out. And, I probably would have been out anyway, but it's not the point. It's not about if you think you're going to be out, play the game and play it through. And he just told me, he was like, look, you have way too much talent. and all that to be half-assing it. And he said, all I want you to do is one thing out of you and just play hard every single day. Like, that's all I ask out of you. Go home and relax, but play hard every single day. And okay. Like, that's not. I don't think that's hard to ask out of your players. Just go play hard, play smart, and just do what you got to do.
Adam, the one thing that stands out to me with Buck is he knew every player on the organization's personality or traits or buttons to push. And so when you're talking about not hustling, I'm picturing Robinson Cano with his ground ball not running, right? So how does Buck address that? Does he do it in spring training? He do it when the lockout stops? He can call him and say, hey, here's what I'm expecting of you. Why do you do it? What does he do? Does he ask you a reason why?
No, I think with a team like that, and he did it with us too, is he took the veterans aside and he said, look, I want you, this is what we, want out of the team. We want accountability for the players, and I want you, core group of guys, to police it. I'm not going to sit there and stare at you if you don't run or something like that. You guys police it. When you see a young guy doesn't play the game hard or doing something, anybody, if you see Cano not running hard, it's okay for another player to be like, hey, shut up. Don't say nothing to Cano. What are you talking about? But to a younger player that obviously like, hey, play the game hard, play it through. Just play it through. Once you're out, you're out. But he allowed the players in our clubhouse to police ourselves. It was me, JJ, Markakis, Machado, Scope, Weeders, O'Day, Jim Johnson, Tommy Hunter, and Britton, and some other guys. And he just allowed us to police our clubhouse and police our dugout. Play the game hard, and he'll manage. And again, he allowed the hitting coaches work with that. He allowed our first and third base coaches, infield coaches. Hey, just be prepared, man. And that's all he asks.
Would you be shocked if he brought in an outfielder to play the infield or had an opener? Because there are some, there are different nuances in the game today that I don't think are branded Buck Showalter type of baseball.
But I think that he's, been away from the game a little bit to see it on the TV side. And I think he'll be prepared for it. I can't say no. I remember him getting 3 lineups every night just to pick one, and they probably all 3 were the same. So you never know.
Okay.
I think he can adapt to it. And again, he has very deep pockets accessible to him now. So, and not just deep pockets. Every owner has deep pockets, but Mr. Cohen is ready to take over New York City. Again, over in the Bronx, they have obviously are the team to talk about, and when it comes to New York, but the Mets right now are hot, and they have an opportunity to bring some noise over there.
Hey, Adam, so this is the same guy who walked Barry Bonds with the bases loaded. I'm just saying, throwing that out there. But, hey, hold on. Let me ask you this, though. Last thing before we let you go. Spring training. What is a spring training like with Buck Showalter?
Oh, man. Awesome.
Wow.
Okay, if you're a veteran player, you're not going on the road. And I know now with the new rules, they have to send 2 guys. I think the 9 or just I guess a certain amount of number of 40-man guys on the road. And he made sure that the young guys went on the road and the veterans stayed at home. Even if it was, I remember one time there was 3 straight road games. The veteran guys had 3 straight off days and gone at 11 o'clock, golfing and, going to the beach with the family, and amazing.
What about we got to let you go. I know we're running long, but what about drills, certain things you got to do, cuts and relays, all the fundamental stuff? How does he handle that?
Oh, we did it to a T, and we did, literally the first 3 or 4 weeks. It was pound fundamental. And he always said, hey, man, all you guys are talented. I want you guys to work on the things that are going to happen more often and just hit the cutoff. Keep the ball down. Fundamentally sound. If you look at our teams, especially once we got J.J. Hardy at shortstop, our fundamentals went through the roof. And just the simple errors didn't happen. The allowing the extra bases didn't happen. We just played the game fundamental, and You know, that again, the people think he's really, all about the X's and O's and this and that. He's really just watching the game and seeing what's going on in the game. And he's like, okay, and now it's time to do this. It's time to do that. Times 10. Obviously, he has a lot going on up there, but to me, I think now he's not the guy that everybody talked about in the 90s. And I remember when we were getting him, people were like, man, he's going to go to Baltimore and just ruin that culture. And, he's going to – I don't know what kind of fit it was. I think it was the perfect fit. He gave the ownership. He gave the entire staff a kicking ass. And it's like, look, we're going to be professional. We're going to try to win. And not just win on the field. We're going to try to win in PR. We're going to try to win in all the facets of the organization. And that's how you win. And, again, he got some deep pockets to work with. So I think he can assemble a coaching staff and, help add more pieces to the puzzle of the team over the next, hopefully end of the lockout, but hopefully they can start that process sooner than later as, most teams still can work.
Outstanding perspective. Adam Jones, who played for Buck Showalter in Baltimore. We really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Adam. Good stuff.
Anytime.